Welcome to SS Innovation's first episode of MantraCast. I'm here with our SS Innovation CTO, Mr. Ramakrishna Reddy. Rama, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm fine. And also, thank you so much for having me here.
Great. Well, we work in the same place.
Yeah.
So it's not that difficult. So Rama, I think you're probably one of the youngest CTOs in the realm of surgical robotics. So how does that make you feel first?
It's definitely a great opportunity which I got it. And also, it also add a lot of immense responsibility on me. And I'm enjoying so far.
So let's talk about where it all started. So obviously you're an engineer.
Yeah.
So can you just, what kind of engineer are you?
So I did my bachelor degree in electrical and electronic engineering. After that, I did my master degree in automation and robotics, and mostly specialization into the physical human-robot interaction, robots. And after that, I did a lot of research in the surgical robotic systems and the medical robotic systems. So in a nutshell, I can say that I'm a more biased towards the electromechanical components. So I'm a mechatronics engineer.
So mechatronics deals primarily with electronics and mechanical engineering.
Yeah, and with the control system.
So what's a control system?
So control system is like a combination of software and also algorithms, and then a mechanical and also electronic. So because any electromechanical systems we need to control with different algorithms, who understand about the dynamics of the also electromechanical components. So that is overall as a control system.
So when did you first know you wanted to become an engineer?
Yeah, from the childhood, I was very clear that because in childhood also I used to play a lot of with the toys, especially with like DC motors and also some kind of robots. So ever since my childhood, I used to do a lot of projects as a hobby. And during my finishing of secondary school, I'm more focused on to go towards an engineering side.
So can you remember what the first thing was that you made from the ground up from an engineering point of view? And how old were you?
Yeah, it was like the class 7th or 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So at that time, I was like less than 12 years or 11 years. So I made a small tractor, which in India you can see in a lot of villages. So I got these wooden blocks from a nearby carpenter, and I brought them to my house. And also I had some DC motors in my house, and I make it exactly like a mini tractor. And I bought it in a nearby shop, some other electronic components like a LED and also battery. So that was my first project, and also still in my home. I can see in my hometown in the shelf.
How big was it?
The very small, this one.
And it's functioning.
It's a functioning.
Wheels, motor.
Still everything is functioning. Yeah, again, if you look at that prototype, that the project is also which I made exactly look like a mini version of tractor. So the front wheels are small with the fan bearings. At that time, you have this in a ceiling fan. There was a bearings were attached. There's a small wheels. In the back side, there's a big wheels. So the seating for the driver and then a passenger. So I made exactly like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So then that's class 7. Now you're in high school. So I know in India, right, engineering and medicine, they kind of follow the same track. But then instead of biology, then you probably took mathematics.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So in the +1, +2, we have an option to choose based upon whether you want to go for the doctor or the science side, especially the biology side. You can have an option to choose. And if people who want to familiar with the mathematics and who want to be an engineer, and they will go for the different path.
So in your high school days, like, was there any inspiration, that really led you towards engineering?
Yeah,
beyond just building tractors.
Yeah. So there, I usually mostly focus on mathematics and also the physics and social. So I more focus on those subjects. Maths is a favorite subject for me. So I'm inclined more towards the engineering side.
Yeah, I've noticed recently on LinkedIn you've been posting a lot of these postings with a lot of calculus equations.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, because the robotics, the first thing is when I say already you asked about the control system, the basic of the robotics lies everything on the linear algebra. So how you understand about the transformation matrix And even though if the robot is a combination of electromechanical components and also joints, the relation between the joint to joint, it's always the transformation matrix from the one point to another point.
Okay.
So this mostly on the linear algebra. Apart from that, again, if you go in more into the dynamics, the kinematics is mostly come the transformation matrix and knowing about the position of the end effector based upon the joints. But when you deep dive into the more into the dynamics of the electromechanical components like joints, so where you need to more focus on the Newton laws and the equations which we get from the dynamics like motion with respect to acceleration, and those things will more focus on that. And combination of both in kinematics and dynamics, you can say the control system.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward now from high school, you did your bachelor's here in India.
Yeah.
You did that in
Karimnagar too.
In Karimnagar, where you're from, in Telangana.
Yeah.
Okay. Then how did you get the opportunity? I believe you did your master's in Italy, right?
Yeah.
So how did that opportunity arise?
Yeah. So I can say one thing. During my bachelor degree, my progress is also like systematic way. So in the high school, I was like an average student. After that, I can say in my +1, +2, I was like scored an above average student. I was scored a good marks. Then I choose an electrical and electronic course in my bachelor degree. And in the first year, I was a topper in my college. And since then, I was more focused both on one side education and one side is in extracurricular activities, especially the organization which I want to lead, like in a social service and also the other organization which will helpful for arranging the technical fest in the college. So I was continuously had led as a class representative in my complete college career. And the final year, I was also the college president, because it's also gave a lot of opportunity earlier stage of my life to run the organizations and also the lead the teams. So as a leadership roles also, I learned many things during my bachelor degree. So after that, I had a confusion that after I got the opportunity and also in the campus placements, during an interview, I already got few job offers. Then I had a confusion whether I need to pursue my higher education in a different field, in different countries. Because at that time, during my last year of the bachelor degree, my project was also on the robotics, mobile robot, like a dual tone multiple frequency, like where remotely you can control by calling that through the phone, you can control the mobile robot. So which will help it in a lot of defensive applications and also the nuclear power plants. It will helpful. So after that, I want to continue my higher education, but I searched a lot of options in India. At that time in 2012 and 13 time frame, there is a very less college and also the labs also not mature enough to do a lot of research in the robotics. So I applied for US universities and then Europe. So one thing I felt that I want to do it like with minimal cost, and because in the US, it's a lot of tuition fee is very high, high, and also if you want to go for the big schools, again the tuition fee is very high in the US and also in the Germany, and also I look another part of world like in Europe. So and also in robotics is very good in the Europe also, especially in the Germany and also Italy. So I got some opportunities from University of Siena, which is near to Florence. I think people most aware about the Florence city.
Firenze.
Yeah, Firenze in Italy. Italian. So there is one professor who's Domenico Petrichesso. So he's also from couple of almost 3 decades, he's working in the core robotics. So I applied for that. I got an opportunity. Then I moved to Italy initially. So which is also universities which is founded in the earlier 13th century. This is one of the oldest university.
Wow.
Yeah. So
the library must have been amazing.
Yeah, museums, and because the city itself is like library, all are mostly museums. Yeah.
And so you lived in Italy for 3 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years master's program. Yeah. And what was your favorite thing, non-academic about living in Italy?
One thing that personally from my childhood, I like history apart from engineering. Because if you go back to our Indian culture also, there is a lot of history in it. in earlier civilization, or like what of in India also different ethnic groups, they have their own different culture and also different languages. So I'm more biased towards the this history. And also when in Italy, if you know that there is a roads and also buildings and all mostly medieval time, still the roads and the buildings they kept it very in a better way. And still you can visit whenever like you get a time. And also the church there, and the many things there. I liked it about that.
And then
Food, especially the food.
The food, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You cannot say you don't love the food from Italy.
Yeah.
So then after Italy, you moved to Germany, I believe, right? You were in Seefeld?
Yeah, I was in Munich.
In Munich,
Yeah.
right? So DLR is the research arm of German aerospace, right? And how was that experience?
During my second year, almost I completed all the courses. But I got at that time I had an opportunity, because always it's like my life is a connecting dots. Because when I moved from India to Italy, I was alone. I didn't know anyone, because the first time even there is no much students go to Italy at that time. And then after that I didn't stop at Italy there. Still I was more hungry on towards the learning on the robotics. So I applied for, there is in Europe there is a called we have this in a program called Erasmus. So there is a very beauty of this program is they always switch the students from one university to another university. So they can continue the research over there. So I got, after finishing my course, only for the research, I applied for this program, Erasmus. And again, I got the scholarship. So I moved to the Technical University of Munich, where I studied parallelly. I did my research there, especially on the physical human-robot interaction. So where you have both collaboration between the humans and robots, there is some multiple tasks. And during my research in Munich, I met like senior engineer from the DLR. So he also had some collaboration between the Technical University of Munich and then a DLR in Westling, where he's also in Munich. So after I applied for, there is a position for the research student position there in the DLR. So I went there and I did my interview, and I got placed in the DLR for almost close to 1 year. So I continued my medical robotics research over there.
In engineering today, that's not medical, excites you most, in the field of engineering? Like, where are we today?
So one thing we can notice that, like when I left India in 2014 timeframe, and now in 2025, there is a lot has changed already. And if you look at even when we were 10 years ago, India was like it's the largest economy. Today we are if I'm not mistaken, we are like in a 5th largest economy. We are in the top 5. So India is growing rapidly. And also in the recent times, when I can also say that during my master degree also, my core subjects was in machine learning and AI. And I had, again, electromechanical components like robotics, kinematics and dynamics, and the control system. So at that time, I didn't even think that how AI and machine learning can take this path. And today in India, you can see that AI and machine learning is taking going advanced day by day, and not only in India, but also different countries, especially in India, because India is divided into the many parts in terms of ethnic groups, and also like different caste or different people, like in north, south, east, or whatever it may be. But the crucial part is still we are like grouped in a different, labeled as different groups. So for AI and machine learning, whatever you are implementing, any applications in the medical or engineering sector, the data is the most crucial things. So particularly as India is a developing country, and if we get the data properly and utilized in a very good way, so we can do miracles in India, especially in healthcare. Because if you look at, there is a few diseases, these kind of diseases more in one few ethnic groups. So with the data, you can solve many things in India.
Yeah, with data, but also I believe that India, and as you mentioned, being in this sort of development phase, there's still a lot of gaps that should be filled, when it comes to, education, identifying, primary, secondary, tertiary, prevention. So, because ultimately, by the time the patients usually come to the doctors here in India, these are either they're coming because there's some physical discomfort that they're feeling. Otherwise, so this is they're symptomatic.
Yeah.
Then they come in only to discover that they have late stage cancer, this and that. So I think, you're absolutely right. There are ways to be able to surveil, these things, amongst the population. One, because now you studied, engineering in India, and then you went to Italy, then you went to Germany. Now you're the CTO of India's only surgical, soft tissue surgical robotic company.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on sort of, in the field of engineering right now, talking about, creativity and imagination, but, and how that, can be utilized in engineering versus reverse engineering.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this?
So I can tell you that both has to go in a parallel way, because sometimes you need innovations and what you mentioned also, the new things when you're doing things, and at the same time the reverse engineering. Like especially like if you take as a new innovations, India is doing very well in the space. SS innovations we are also doing in the medical field. And at the same time, there is some life-saving devices and also few diagnostic devices, which is already in the market, and also it's available in the different countries. So sometimes it's for the larger population. India is also close to 1.5 billion population. So for larger population also to take priority of our people also, sometimes which is already available in the different countries, and also the patent or expired. And if you want to do it for the helpful for the people, you can also do in a reverse engineer. At the same time, we need to always keep our innovations, always keep it, and also which is a benefiting and also giving an extra benefit for the people. We need to do it.
See, the way that I'm looking at it, and maybe I can pose the question differently. So now we decided, at SSI that we didn't want to copy the existing surgical robotic systems. We all know very well that there are some, people who've done this, and then obviously they're doing it, via reverse engineering with some, minor cosmetic changes.
Yeah.
So explain your experience now, because we said right from day one that we wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
We didn't want to copy. Now, explain sort of, the challenges, and also the feelings you have now when we're sitting with the team during, design stage.
Yeah.
Coming up with different ideas, different prototypes, what works, what doesn't. So there's a different evolutionary process that I feel. See, I'm also not an engineer. I've learned a lot from you guys, but there's a different self evolution that occurs once you are harnessing the imagination, having these discussions, sitting in a room with people, sharing ideas. And now ultimately we have this Mantra 3 robot, which you guys actually, designed and developed, from proof of concept to actual working surgical robotic system, I think in like 6 months.
Yeah. So 6 months in the Mantra 2. Yeah.
So just let's talk about that process of, sitting in the room with your colleagues, designing, coming up with ideas, and then now the reality that it's actually operating on patients.
Yeah. If you remember the first prototype when we built it, and when we went for the clinical trials, and before that we did animal trials and the cadaver trials. Being an engineer, and also at the time in the 6 and 7 years back in India, who's working in the medical, especially the surgical robotic system, there is none. So there is hardly you can find even in the world also you can find only few people. So at the time, whatever we had to do it, when we learned ourselves as being an engineer, we learned, and also team, we all learned together and sharing the views and also sharing the informations in a drawing board. And also, if you first time when we were in the operation theater, that is the first time in our life also, the first time when you're doing clinical trials, the first time in my life also, I saw the first time the operation theater, how it looks. And when we install the system, and when our product was being testing on the patients first time, so the experience was completely different. And we learned many inputs from the operation theater, from the surgeons and OT staff.
What emotions were you feeling in that moment?
Yeah.
Like, how were you feeling? Were you nervous?
Confident?
Were you?
No, by looking at the first time, the blood and everything, I was completely nervous. And I didn't even understand initially what is going on. Yeah. So because the first time there is an anesthetist, they're putting some and also putting the ports, and there is a complete team there also. It's not a
totally
surgeon.
New experience.
New experience, and also there is a lights and OT lights.
So from design to application.
Yeah, it's completely different actually.
Yeah.
And I thought about that before that there is a surgeon can do only the surgery, but not only that's not true completely, because surgeon is doing a surgery, but there is other teams who's helping to surgeon also in the OT.
Sure.
So the first time we noticed many things in the OT. So after finishing, because I think we did more than approximately 19 to 20 patient we did then these clinical trials initially on the prototype one. And every day when we finished our clinical case, we came back to our rooms or in hotel wherever we were, and we wrote all the inputs which we observed from the OT. So we thought about during the parallel only when we were doing the clinical trials, and we started designing for the next generation. The day which we after finishing our surgical procedure, we capture all the notes which we observed from the OT, and again we start building the next prototype. So during at that time we had mechanical engineers and software engineers, and also the different from the user perspective as clinical engineers. So we all came together, because everyone has their own opinion. Some engineers always think about the engineering side, and that clinical engineers always think about the user perspective, and then software always think about what we can do, control the joints together or all these things. And we put all together and in a simulation format, and we played around with the workspace and also patient models and everything. We captured it. I can say that after from the first case to the 20th or 19th case, we almost finished our simulation prototype there. So with the help of, again, we have the Dr. Vishwa Srivastava also. He gave a lot of inputs because he himself is a world-renowned surgeon. So his inputs and also help us a lot and to build and all within the less time frame, the second generation.
Yeah. So you've come a long way from building toy tractors to building very sophisticated surgical robotic machines.
Yeah.
In your position, obviously, we feel that, it's important to share the knowledge. What knowledge or what advice would you share to, a young engineer watching you today?
Definitely. One thing I can say that people, when they were during their childhood, or they have different family circumstances, and people are very good at if they go to the good schools, or if they come from the metropolitan cities, they access to the good opportunities. But if you have the willpower and the zeal, and whether you in the early stage of your life you don't have any options or exposure to look many things, but you have persistence and also zeal power, and you can continue to learn many things, whether it will come from the later stage of your life, but you keeping on focus on what you want. Because I was from the childhood, I was very clear whether I get a good school access or it doesn't matter. I was the first guy who went from my college to Italy, and I was the first guy in my village, or if now it is in a part of my Karimnagar, but earlier it was village. I was the first guy who went from my village to in Europe for education. So I thought from childhood I was very clear that whatever maybe happens, of course it's a temporary, but you need to look for the longer solution where you want to be in the future. And whether you had knowledge is also, again, time to time you can increase your skills. You can expertise also, you can increase time to time. These are all you can achieve with only putting a lot of hard work and very focused. So young engineers also, I can tell that, again, just focus on what you want. It's okay. Sometimes you get good opportunities, or sometimes you will not get, but sometimes you get paid well, or you can pay very less. It doesn't matter. You need to focus on what you want to be. And at the same time, you need to work with the team, because alone you can travel not far. Together with the people, or together with a lot of people, only you can achieve many things. So working in a team is the most important. And that is a small suggestion for them.
There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, Rama, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you
Yeah.
for telling us about yourself. I learned a lot about you, and thank you for blessing the first episode of MantraCast. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vishwa. And also, this is my also first podcast. Maybe I will going to improve more. Maybe in future podcast.
I think you did great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.